Harry Littman, Donald Trump was just ordered to a deposition. He must sit and be deposed under oath in the next 5 days about topics he certainly does not want to be talking about. Remember this lawsuit, Harry, where Donald Trump sued ABC and George Stephanopoulos, who Trump calls Slopodopoulos, because during the morning show on the weekend, when Stephanopoulos was talking about Donald Trump being found liable for sexual assault, Stephanopoulos kind of referred to it as being found liable for rape. And Donald Trump said, look, sexual assault, different than rape, even though the federal judge in the New York case said that there technical similarities just in how the New York law is written. So Donald Trump sued on the fact that Stephanopoulos used the word like convicted of rape or liable for rape. Trump said, nope, civilly liable for sexual assault. Trump saying big difference right there. So Trump filed this lawsuit in the Southern District of Florida, got assigned to a pretty well-respected judge there, not like a Judge Eileen Cannon. And it was interesting. The Stephanopoulos ABC motion to dismiss was denied by the federal judge. So then it went into discovery, which was interesting. Maybe the judge was like, all right, let's get it to the next phase and see if Trump really shows up for a deposition. So then it gets into discovery. Obviously, Trump doesn't want to sit for a deposition. I'm sure Stephanopoulos doesn't, but I'm sure Stephanopoulos doesn't care as much as Trump, because when you think about what this deposition is going to be covering, I mean, Trump's going to have to talk about sexual assault. Trump's going to have to talk about the distinction and what he was found liable for. Trump's going to have to talk about all of the other times that he's made comments about women and bragged about grabbing women's genitals and all of these types of things. Trump's going to have to speak about all the types of damages one would claim in a defamation action. And right here, the order says that each have to sit for a 4-hour deposition. It's going to take place again next week. And that's the order. It's signed by a magistrate judge. And again, this usually would be video on videotape. It'd be under oath. Not exactly what Trump wants to do before he gets into office. Harry, break it down for us.
Yeah, so really interesting and a lot of things to say, I think, Ben. First, this is classically how Trump has always used the legal system. He sued to be for publicity. He sued for political advantage. He sued to be aggressive. He is now going to say, I'll bet. He's got this notion, and how this plays, I think, could be connected with what happens in the New York court involving Mayor Chun, because there he has said everything that happens with a president and the special kinds of rules there applies to me as a president-elect. And I don't think it's a strong argument. We got one president at a time. That president is Joe Biden now, but you're going to see him try to quash this on something like those grounds. That's point one. Point two, you're right, and I know people have had it, who've deposed him. He can be at his worst. He's unbelievably non-responsive. He can be nasty and churlish, and especially if it's videotaped. Nobody likes a videotaped deposition, but least of all when you're talking about sexual assault. And you're right, the lawyer will be needling him with other instances. Finally, there's 18 interesting points, but the third one I want to raise is remember, this is a defamation lawsuit. That means that Trump's got to show that Stephanopoulos knowingly, purposely, or recklessness lied. It's a little bit even finer point here, because there was a reason he said rape. Remember, 11 of the 12 jurors were ready to say rape, but it didn't matter under the New York law whether it was rape or sexual assault. And to get down and dirty with details, it had to do with what kind of penetration. But 11 out of 12 thought that it was. And then, as you say, the judge affirmed that it really counts under New York law. So I think he's not going to be able to show that Stephanopoulos recklessly disregarded the truth. If anything, the truth is going to come back to hit him and defeat the lawsuit. So first thing, he's going to try to get out of it with the sort of arguments that he's raising in other places. So we'll see how it plays. But after that, it's a very strong prospect of an ugly, ugly videotape.
Now, Harry Littman, it's Donald Trump who filed this lawsuit. So this wasn't like the other cases where maybe Trump was a defendant or a criminal defendant or a civil defendant. And he says, you're trying to haul me into court. I shouldn't be hauled into court. Stop it. Trump is saying, I'm trying to avail myself of the court to sue Stephanopoulos. So I think he has a tougher argument trying to stop discovery in his own case. Trump's remedy, if he wants to stop it, is he can dismiss the case. We saw
that. My best guess is I would not be at all surprised if he tried 6 ways to quash, fails, and dismisses. He's not going to win.
We've seen this playbook with him before, bullying people in courts. You all recall he filed a $500 million lawsuit against Michael Cohen. Cohen was smart. He's like, I'm not even going to file a motion to dismiss. I want discovery right away. I'll answer the complaint, take Donald Trump's deposition. Trump delayed. It was compelled after Trump, said he wasn't going to say. It was delayed again. Cohen persisted. I'm making you be deposed. And finally, after the judge had enough, the day before the deposition was set to take place, Donald Trump dismissed that case. So you see a parallel right there as well. Trump does not want to sit for this deposition right now in front of a camera, under oath, talking about sexual stuff and accusations of sexual assault, Harry.
And we're told, the guy's got the equivalent, or he would, of a rap sheet as long as his arm, but there's apparently, it really especially drives him to distraction, anything having to do with these sexual assault charges. So even having to air them and go over it again, I think, as you say, his playbook would be do everything he could do to quash it, but then, if need be, dismiss the suit. We'll see. That's an extreme thing to do, and you really you look pretty weak, which he hates to do when you sue the media and George Stephanopoulos, and then never mind. But I think for all the reasons you say, that beats sitting for the deposition for him. We'll see.
Harry,
it's going to be pretty interesting. It's playing out fast.
It's such a great point. I mean, look, you realize very quickly that Trump and his type are paper tigers, right? And if you extrapolate this to his threats of tariffs and just his overall bullying, you ultimately see when he gets confronted often with things where he's forced to be in a public spotlight and he's not able to finagle his way out of it, which he's been able to do with various allies and other people who have agendas themselves, including at the highest level of the Supreme Court. He often folds when he's kind of pushed into that corner, and we've seen it over and over again. Let me just put this procedural gloss on it to add to what you said. So this is a magistrate judge who made this ruling. What that means in these federal court cases, you have a federal judge who handles the substantive motions and the trials. The magistrate judge is not an Article 3 judge, someone who's actually hired by the federal bench, and they handle discovery matters. They get assigned with the judge on specific cases. So the magistrate judge rules on things like depositions. That order by a magistrate judge in federal court can be challenged to the federal court judge, which Trump will do. That'll be the next step. Challenge will be his next step. The federal judge will make an order soon, I'm sure. Trump may then try to challenge that with some stay or some appeal or something like that. And then to your point, Harry, when he reaches the end of the line, he dismisses cases like this. If I'm Stephanopoulos and ABC's lawyers, at this point, this case is either delayed for the next 4 years or is over at this point. They know they've got Trump right where they want him. Trump ain't sitting for this deposition and pushing forward. And Harry Littman, I want to remind everybody before I give you the last word on this, you've got the Talking Feds YouTube channel, the Talking Feds podcast. And you've got that Talking Feds Substack, and already a bestseller in like the first month on Substack. You've written incredible pieces there that I get a lot of my legal knowledge for. Sorry about bragging about your Talking Feds various media empire you're building. I'll let you get the final word here, Harry.
Well, speaking of media empires, I'll certainly take that compliment. But there are empires, and there are empires in the making. So I'll put it that way. So I mean, look, it's so interesting, as you say, because he's now cloaking himself in a whole different kind of garb. The president, he's got a certain swagger. And yet you're right. There's always this other part that, the actual Donald Trump, it came out in the New York trial, seamy, tawdry, incredibly self-serving and the like. And when he's pushed, that's who he is. And that's what would happen with any half skillful lawyer at a deposition. So, what's interesting to me is this is going to play out fast. The magistrate says you have less than a week. So he'll move, and then the 11th Circuit and try the Supreme Court. Well, what's his claim exactly? He's a normal guy in here. The claim's got to be something about, the majestic status of a president-elect. And, Supreme Court has done weirder things. But there ain't no majestic status for a president-elect. A president-elect, another name for is citizen. So we'll really see if he can functionally expand the whole kind of immunity and special consideration that the courts, especially the Supreme Court, have bestowed on him. And, that would be one more kind of busting of norms and law as we know it.
Harry Litman, thank you. Everybody subscribe to the Talking Feds YouTube channel, the Talking Feds podcast, the Talking Feds Substack. Harry, you're such a humble guy. I think it's a media empire. Thank you.
Thanks.
Real quick, Meta just changed their algorithm.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.